Welcome to another episode of Preparing for Pregnancy After Loss. This is your host, Natalie Facey, and this episode is going to be so helpful for you because I am going to share something with you that will help you to release from your healing process any guilt or shame that you've been experiencing. And I know that those are some big, heavy topics. I know that they're difficult ones to deal with. But the reason why it's important to deal with them is because they are difficult. And so if in your healing journey, you're able to move through the things that are causing most of the pain, then it means that you're able to move through your journey with more freedom, with more optimism, with more love, with more hopefulness. So if you haven't checked out the previous episode on emotions, then definitely do that because I go much deeper into understanding emotions and understanding the message and the purpose of our emotions. And I'll share just a bit of background so that you're up to speed, but definitely also check out that episode because I go a whole lot deeper. And it's really going to serve as the basis for understanding all of your emotions. Our emotions are mostly expressed in our face. So the emotion of sadness, for example, might express itself in tears. It might express itself in the movement of our jaw or cheeks in a certain way, the down movement of our eyes, the down movement of our facial expression. And when someone who loves us sees that we are in a state of sadness, then they are called to our aid. Or even if it's not someone who loves us, but just like a human being who has compassion or has the capacity to have compassion for other humans, then they are drawn to support us in our state of sadness. When we're experiencing anger, whatever that looks within our body on our face, whether it is the widening of our eyes, whether you notice that your heart is beating faster, you might not notice this, but your blood is going to be pumping harder. Whatever is happening within your body that you're noticing and that someone else outside of you is observing, it's an indication that that person or that experience has pushed beyond your personal boundaries. And if something or someone has pushed beyond your personal boundaries, it means that there needs to be a pause there before you respond to that anger in defense. So our emotions are messengers for us. Our emotions are really helping us to understand the state that we're in, are really helping us to understand the impact something has had on us and how we can bring ourselves back to balance. So again, the emotions that I'm going to be talking about today are shame and guilt. And I'm pairing these two because they're so close to each other. They're so very connected. I love the distinction that Brené Brown made between shame and guilt. And what she says is that guilt says, or how guilt expresses itself, is in the sense that I did something bad. I did something bad and I'm experiencing guilt as a result of that. How shame expresses itself is that I am bad. I am bad. So there is no separation between the thing that was done and the person. You experience shame within your being, within your body. Also the reason why it's such an important emotion to work through and to process. So let's talk about why or what might happen that could lead to shame and guilt. Let's take a loss, for example. If in the process of a loss, you feel as though you did something wrong to cause the loss, then that might lead to guilt. Again, guilt says, I did something bad or I did something wrong. Guilt. And again, please do go back to the previous episode that helps to just better understand the emotions. Guilt is on a scale or a ladder of a whole lot of other emotions. Guilt is on the way up from fear, grief, desperation, despair, and powerlessness. So when you're experiencing all of those heavy or low emotions, both guilt and shame are actually relief from that, relief from those heavy emotions. And so while guilt might not feel good, it actually has higher energy than feeling fear, grief, despair, powerlessness. Shame is the sense that you are wrong, you are bad, something is inherently wrong with you. That's what led to the loss, or that's what led to the infertility. And you might go between both, but what you might notice is that guilt is actually, there is more freedom, there is higher energy that comes with guilt than what comes with shame. What's interesting about shame is that it is heavily influenced by someone else's judgment or someone else's expectation. Basically, this framework that we live in, that we've bought into, that someone else has decided that this is how life goes, or this is how things are supposed to go. Now, within our culture, women are the ones who are considered to be the ones giving birth. So if you live in a woman's body, you should be able to give birth. You should be able to become pregnant. The question that I have there is, what injury has your body experienced that you don't know, or that that person might not know? There is more to you, and there's more to your story than just what's happening on the surface. This is just it's a really important topic to dive into, because if you think of people with disabilities or people whose bodies have different abilities, it means that there needs to be accommodation and there needs to be grace for that person, because that person's body functions in a different way, right? So for people who are unable to walk using both of their legs, it means that they might be in a wheelchair and they're still able to move around and go about doing their business. So there has been some accommodation made for them so that they can still function in the world. Now, to bring this back to the topic of pregnancy and fertility, when there's imbalance in our body, if we're not aware of the imbalance, if we're not giving grace to the fact that there is imbalance, we are forcing ourselves to do something that the body in this moment, not for like ever, doesn't mean that this is a forever permanent thing, but the body in the state that it's currently in is having challenges, and there are no accommodations being made for the body. And again, the reason why the accommodations aren't being made is because there isn't even the awareness that there is some, call it an injury, not an issue, but there is an injury that has occurred in the body that hasn't been dealt with. Oftentimes, this injury, it doesn't have to be something that's physical. It's something that is expressing itself in a physical way, such as the inability to become pregnant, but the injury didn't have to start with something that's physical. There are emotions that we experience and still hold within our body that continue to have an impact on our body if the emotions aren't dealt with. So if you're someone who, as a child, you experienced emotional abuse, let's say that there was neglect, let's say that you had parents that were verbally abusive, let's say that you didn't get the love and nurturing that you needed from an emotional standpoint, if those things aren't healed, then it's possible that there might still be an impact that is causing imbalance within the body. That imbalance might express itself in your fertility or pregnancy journey. And I want to say that that happens if that's the association that has been made. So if the emotional wound that has been made is something around parenting, nurturing, becoming a mother or parent yourself, then there might be an imbalance within that space of your body if the emotional wounds aren't healed. Now, people go through all sorts of things. People hold on to different things. And I want to think of it almost like this big, beautiful chemical reaction. When you're putting different chemicals together in a lab, there are different combinations that are being created. Or you can think of it as combining colors. So when you're putting different colors together, there are other colors that are being created. If you put the same combination in a different environment, in the refrigerator versus under the sun, there is something else that's being created. So each human, regardless of whether or not they went through very similar or the same experiences, the combination that happens within their system might be different from what happens within yours, and might be different from how those combinations express themselves in your body. Some other injury that you might have experienced, let's say that this didn't happen during childhood, but some other injury that you might have experienced in a relationship in your teenage years, it could have been sexual assault. It could have been sexual abuse. It could have been something that took away your power. And the center of your power, it is associated with your hips. It's associated with your reproductive organs. And if your power has been taken away, and if your power still doesn't live within your body, if you haven't regained your power, then it means that as you're trying to become a mother or a parent, as you're trying to bring this new life into the world through your body, there might be blockages there. So when someone says, or when you say to yourself, like, what's going on? Why is it hard for me to become pregnant? Why is it that other people seem to have this so easy and I don't? I want you to just pause for a moment and think about what might be the injury that your body has experienced that that person has not. You really have to give yourself a new framework. If your body has gone through something that the other women or birthing people that you're observing have not gone through, it means that accommodations need to be made for you. It means that you need a different framework from the framework that they have. They might go through a pregnancy that's super easy, no complications, and you're like, what the hell? Why is it that it's hard for me to become pregnant? Or why is it that when I do become pregnant, my doctor is telling me that this is happening and this is happening, and now I'm in some freaking high risk category? You know, why is it that I fall within this category and other people don't? Just pause for a moment and think of the experience that you have gone through, the body that you live in, and what you're currently holding in your body. And this is not to put you in a place of guilt. And I say that because, remember, guilt comes from this feeling that I did something wrong. This is not to put you in this state of you are wrong, you did something wrong. It's to make you aware of what's happening behind the scenes. It's to make you aware of what's happening, what those chemicals are doing in your body that you might not know about. And so even as I'm speaking right now, you might become aware of experiences that you've gone through that might still have some injury in the body, whether it was abuse or neglect during childhood, whether it was something really traumatic in your teenage years or as an adult, whether it was a past relationship that occurred just a few years ago, even in your adulthood, that was really painful. All of those things are having, or could be having, because it does depend on how your body takes in the combination of this energy. So all of those unresolved emotions could be having an impact on your body. And what I see in either women that I have worked with, women birthing or birthing people that I have worked with or interacting with, or even within myself, is that there is sort of an emotional state that you live in that is constantly in the background because you've learned to cope with it. Deep within you, some of this will resonate if it feels true. And so if you find that you are overworking, if you find that you are constantly active, if you find that it is difficult or impossible for you to pause, then that's something that you're going to need to pay attention to. This is your invitation right now to assess what your framework needs to be. Your framework isn't going to be like all the other people who are having easy, no risk, smooth sailing pregnancies. Your framework needs to be one that gives you grace for understanding the body that you live in and understanding the experiences that you've gone through that has now created the patterns that are in your body. And I'm going to say it again, like, this isn't for you to feel guilt. And I hope that I have helped to alleviate the shame, because shame is just you feeling as though you don't fit with what the norm is. Shame is you feeling as though something is wrong with you because how your body is working or how you're moving in the world is different from what has been highlighted as what needs to be the norm. And I think that everything is the norm. Everything is the norm because we're all unique and we're all different. And where you might experience shame around pregnancy or fertility, the person who had the super easy pregnancy and had no challenges and so has no issues with shame around pregnancy, they might experience shame around parenting. They might experience shame around their career or their body. Shame can be experienced from all these different boxes that are created that communicate to us that this is how we need to function within these boxes. But we're all different, we're all unique. As I'm speaking now, I'm looking at my very colorful scarf that's on my website. This scarf has all of the colors of the rainbow. It's a reminder of my creativity and my creative expression, and all of us have that. All of us have these different colors and chemicals and energies that we're made up of because we're unique. Create for yourself a new framework of how you live in the world, of how you exist, of your pregnancy journey, of your birth warrior journey, because it's going to be different from everyone else's. Maybe the framework is that there have been experiences that you've had that now require you to have more support during pregnancy. And that support, it might include nutrition, but it won't stop there. It will include having to deal with the emotional wounds that you have held on to over the years. It's going to be a movement of the different energies of like pain and shame and guilt that you've been holding on to because you haven't had the opportunity or the understanding that these things need to be healed. But hopefully in understanding these emotions a little bit better, you know that they're really a response to the experiences that you've gone through. They are really an invitation for you to be able to move those energies. And they are an invitation for you to create for yourself a new framework that helps you to move in the world with more confidence. Move in the world giving yourself more grace, and move in the world knowing that your unique and beautiful body requires a different kind of care as you're going through your pregnancy and your fertility journey. Your body, your unique and beautiful body, requires a different kind of care. And the reason it requires a different kind of care is because the experiences that you have gone through from your birth, through childhood, through your teenage years, through your adult years, those experiences are different from what anyone else has gone through. So I never ever want you to experience shame because your journey is different from someone else's. It's meant to be different. And if it's especially difficult, it means that you need even more support. So I don't want to leave you without examples of what that support might look like. So things that you can do on your own is something that allows you to move through your body and to really connect with your body. So on this journey of fertility and pregnancy, it's very easy to hold shame in the body. It's very easy to hold guilt in the body because your body, quote unquote, should be functioning in a certain way and it isn't. And so anything that allows you to move in the body and connect with the body is going to be helpful for you. For me, dance is really big. Dance helps me to move almost any emotion. And so if dance is something that you resonate with, you can actually put on a song that causes you to feel the shame. You don't jump from shame to feeling powerful, but you can put on a song that allows you to move, some slow song that allows you to move with this energy of shame. And once you allow the energy to move, I guarantee you that some other emotion will show up. So when you move shame, you might get to guilt. When you move guilt, you might get to anger. Because anger is a step up from guilt. I'm so angry that happened. I'm so angry that my doctor didn't do something different. I am so angry that I didn't get the support that I wanted in the delivery room. I'm so angry that my family hasn't understood me. And then you might get to disappointment. I'm so disappointed. You might get to pessimism, not feeling hopeful that things might work out. And with each of the emotions that you're experiencing, you can find a song. It doesn't have to be the exact words. Some songs transmit emotions based on the sound that's with them. So the beat, the sound that's with them, the melody. And so you can find songs that kind of capture the emotions that you're in and help you to move through them. The other tool that is so helpful with shame is storytelling. When you hear the story of other people who've gone through similar experiences, it's a reminder that you're not alone. And so you replace that shame with this sense of community, with this sense of connection with other people. You might then be drawn to sharing your own story. There might be power that comes from that. I almost think of it as a cave. When you're in a cave of guilt and shame, how do you step out of that? If you want to be on your pregnancy journey again, how do you move out of the cave so that you can begin to be hopeful for the future, so that you can begin to actually take the steps that are going to lower your risk of complications in pregnancy versus being in a fight, flight, or even a freeze state that are going to increase your risk of pregnancy complications? So through storytelling, you might arrive at power. Through storytelling, you might arrive at owning your power. And when you're able to move that power within your body, then you give those chemicals the permission to work in a way that balances your body again. You basically unlock the blockages in your body. You give your body the green light, the go ahead to say, yes, I am ready to open to more life again. I am ready to open to my baby again, because I've released the things that have been communicating to my body that I am in danger. I am ready to bring in more life because I've let go of the danger in my body. I've let go of the warning signs. There are no alarms that are going off in my body anymore. The energy can flow freely because I've done the healing work that needs to be done. And again, everyone's body is different. Everyone's body who goes through trauma and challenges, they're going to have a different reaction. But you will know within your bones, within your cells, if what I'm saying right now resonates with you. You will know if there is something that is unhealed within your body, if there is something that needs to be unblocked in order for you to welcome your baby through your body and into this world. Okay, so I shared moving in your body. Dancing is a way to moving your body. You might also jog, you might also do some yoga, but as you're moving into your body, it's really connecting with the emotions. And as you're moving through the different emotions, connecting with each of them. The other tool is through storytelling, either through listen to the stories of others who have gone through a similar journey, stories of other birth warriors, and eventually when you feel comfortable, you can start to tell your own story, and that will eventually lead you to a place of power. And the other thing, this is a tool that I have found most useful in my own healing, is somatic therapy work. So somatic therapy is therapy that incorporates the body. Talk therapy really focuses on the mind. In the mind, you gain a perspective of what your experience is. As you share that perspective with your therapist might help you to balance that perspective. Like, oh, how about if you think of it this way? And so your therapist helps you to move you to a place of more power by helping to shape how you perceive your experiences. So all of it is happening in the mind, and there isn't anything wrong with that, but there are limitations to it. When you move into the body, you're moving to the imprint that's been left in the body after experiencing something difficult, after experiencing trauma. Now, if you are not in the place where you can understand in your mind the impact that this trauma has had on you, then you're not able to communicate it to yourself, and so you're not able to communicate it to your therapist. But through working with the body, through communicating with the body, through allowing the body to express what it is experiencing, you basically bypass the bias of the mind and you allow the body to heal. There are different ways to access the body. There are beautiful and wonderful ways that the body communicates with us, and actually emotions are one of those ways. And so through accessing the imprint that's been left on the body, through accessing the injury, that's it, through accessing the injury that's left in the body, then you're able to heal the body. You're able to heal the injury where it occurred, because it occurred in the body and not in the mind. And so somatic therapy has been just the most effective tool for me, and that's why I decided to learn it. That's why I decided that I have to learn this practice, because I have to be able to share it with other women and birthing people, and I have to be able to help other people to move through the loss and move through the pain and move through the shame, so that they can get to freedom, so that they can get to empowerment and confidence in their bodies again, and also so that the impact that's left on the body, the imprint, that can be released, so that the body on the physiological level can be back into balance again. I know that today's topic was difficult, but we made it. We went through it because you're here at the end. But look out for the other episodes. There's another juicy episode that's coming up with a friend of mine who will be sharing how we can use fragrances and colors and art to heal and Trust me, this episode is going to be juicy. She and I connected just a few days ago, and our conversation that was meant to probably be a half an hour went on for like an hour and a half, and it was such a fun one because it's kind of like the meeting place of magic and science. It's where our intuition meets scientific proof in how fragrances have an impact on our body and how art and color have an impact on our body and can help with our healing. So we're going to go into some lighter, more fun ways to heal. And I'm really excited to share it with you. So we'll connect with each other in another week. Hopefully we'll be able to post that episode in another week so that you have more and more tools to support you in your healing. So thank you for hanging out with me today. If you haven't already, hop over to the Facebook group. It's a closed Facebook group called the Birth Warrior Community, where you can be supported on your journey after pregnancy loss, your journey after an infertility diagnosis, as you're looking to welcome the brand new life in this world and through your body. I feel that this journey is more difficult when we don't have support. So this community is to ensure that you have support from people who are going through something really similar, from people who you don't have to ever experience shame because they're going through the experience as well, and they're able to share their stories with you to uplift you. Join the Facebook community. You can find me on Instagram at The Birth Warriors. My website is nataliefacey.com, and you can say hello to me at hello@nataliefacey.com. So again, that email address is hello@nataliefacey.com. All right, so I will see you next time. Thank you again for tuning in, and have a wonderful rest of week. Bye.